to start by the nature of the division of the tension here, because there are two denominations of Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Ukraine, and then there's the Catholic Church. Just set out that background for us.
Certainly. So there are two or three Ukrainian Orthodox churches in the territory of Ukraine today. One of them is aligned with the Moscow Patriarchate of the Orthodox Church. The second is the Ukrainian Orthodox Church aligned with the Patriarch of Constantinople in what we call Istanbul today. And then there is a third, smaller Orthodox Church. And then there are also two Catholic churches in Ukraine to make things even more interesting. There's the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, which I represent here in the United Kingdom, and also the Roman Catholic or the Latin Rite churches in Ukraine.
Okay, so you are, in a sense, outside and beyond the political tension which is behind this latest story, but still you have a lot of knowledge about what's going on there. So let me ask you this and about this. The Ukrainian security forces, as we know now, raided a monastery in Kyiv. It was attached to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and it's said by some of the Ukrainian authorities to be sympathetic to the Kremlin, to Moscow, in some way possibly supportive. Is that a credible accusation?
Well, certainly there is chatter and talk that the security forces have visited, raided Ukrainian Orthodox churches which are aligned to the Moscow Patriarchate, and they have found supposedly evidence incriminating that they are collaborating with the enemy. And so my understanding is that there is a law being proposed by President Zelensky that would forbid the activities of the Moscow Patriarchate of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Ukraine. Of course, until this law is actually enacted, it's difficult for us to comment on what it really means. However, when thinking about this law, if the security service were to visit, investigate any church or synagogue or mosque and found evidence of collaboration, especially during a time of war, one would assume that actions would be taken.
Indeed. And does the accusation strike you as a credible one, given the known sympathies between that particular denomination of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and Russia?
Well, looking at it from the United Kingdom, all I can say is what I've heard on radio, television, Facebook, and it seems to be a very credible accusation.
Yeah. Is that on the basis of clergymen from this church speaking from the pulpit in terms which are sympathetic to Russia, or is it something maybe more deeply involved than that?
I think that in general, over the last few months, we've seen various church leaders that are in a line with the Moscow Patriarchate trying to distance themselves, at least publicly, from the statements of Patriarch Kirill, who is the patriarch of the Moscow Patriarchate of the Orthodox Church in Russia, talking about this as a holy war against Ukraine. So we've heard evidence that they're trying to distance themselves in that publicly. Are they doing that privately? I think it's hard to say. I wouldn't want to rule out that there could be evidence.
Okay, so it may be that some of those churchmen are sympathetic. You wouldn't see anything more active by way of subterfuge against the state on the part of these clergymen, or is that possible too?
Well, I think it's plausible. I don't have evidence that I could speak to apart from what I've been seeing on Facebook and other social media.
Right. Now tell me about the Ukrainian people. I mean, the people who would be the parishioners, those in the congregation of this Russian-aligned Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Would they necessarily share those pro-Russian views, or would there be a diversity of views among those members of the congregation?
I think that if you would be asking this question 9 months ago, I would think that they would probably be very loyal to the Moscow Patriarchate and to what is being said. But seeing what's happened in their homes and villages, the destruction of their own parishes, that belong to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church under the Moscow Patriarchate, I would be very surprised if they have a large base in their faithful that would support anything that the Moscow Patriarchate is doing at this time in Ukraine.
Yeah, opinion would have swung against Russia given the war and
Very
what
much so.
perpetrated against Ukrainians in their own country.
Very much so, because the majority of the Ukrainians who are members of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church under the Moscow Patriarchate are the ones who have suffered certainly the most, because they are from eastern Ukraine.